It's a lovely good afternoon, and you are through to Camnet TV, not just another channel, and we are live here in the studios. And before we hit the ball rolling, firstly, welcome to Off the Pitch, and I'm wishing you, the youths out there, a very happy Youth Day that was celebrated yesterday, and for us it's still a Youth Day, and welcome to Off the Pitch. I'm your host, Amos, aka Amore. And as usual, I'm not alone. I'm joined by the ever energetic Augustine. Augustine, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Amos. It's good to be here. First and foremost, would like to give all the glory and honor to the Almighty God for the gift of life and good health. We are here not by power, nor by mighty, but only by His grace. And we hope to give nothing but the very best of the show to the viewers out there. We had started the week on a very, very sad note. The Under-17 tournament being cancelled in Morocco. I was ready to see the boys. They were geared up. They had a very, very good preparation. Football Association of Zambia, credit to them, had done all the work, and they had organized the preparation in a very, very good way. The team was supposed to play a mini tournament which they should have been pitted against UFC Rabat. They could have played Nigeria and Cameroon, but unfortunately the tournament was cancelled by Morocco due to the coronavirus concerns. But it's not the first time Morocco are cancelling a tournament of this magnitude. You remember back in 2015, was it when they cancelled the AFCON proper because of Ebola virus? Football Association of Zambia, rumor has it, they have jumped in and offered CAF to host the tournament. We just hope for the best. It will be interesting to see if Zambia can host this Under-17 African Cup of Nations, because we had hosted the Under-20 tournament successfully, and it was yesterday was the day when in 2017 was it when Zambia won the AFCON? It was on Youth Day. So it would be very, very good if we can take this giant step again and host the Under-17 tournament as well.
Before we take a short break, Augustine, how do you think it affected the lads after having all those preparations and then just having the tournament being cancelled, and then we saw them having a friendly game that was yesterday, which they drew against Morocco? But how do you think it affected them, like in terms of mentally?
It was very, very tough for the boys, because you do realize it's not every year that you play an AFCON tournament. We have seen great players who have never even graced any international stage of any level, and for these boys to have been selected to go to play for Zambia, represent Zambia, the pride of the country, I think it's very, very hard for them to take at this moment, having prepared, having gone through the selection process, because there were, I believe, 500 players who started this whole journey, and it came down to the final team which went, and for you to be part of that team and then not play the tournament, it's very, very disappointing. Some will never be part of it again, because it's now coming back to their respective academies and clubs to try and cement their position there and keep playing good football so that they can be part of the next selection, because probably we won't see the same players who went to Morocco be part of the next tournament. It will be very, very difficult. We had the likes of John Sabobo. This was going to be his big stage to try and showcase his talent, and I personally really wanted to see what the boys will offer, because when you see them play, they are very, very fearless. They are very, very confident on the ball. They like to pass it. George Chilufya, Chisimbewa, and the technical bench have got faith in these lads. It's a shame that I didn't go through.
Anyway, like Augustine said, it's a sad note knowing that the tournament didn't go through due to issues that occurred. But anyway, we wish the lads all the best as they come back to the country and go back to their various clubs. But anyway, it wasn't just that. We had another disappointing games that were being played. That's Ghana, who lost, who was beaten by Pyramids. We will talk more into details that. And we had the NAPSA Stars again. being beaten. But before we get into more details concerning the two games, that's the CAF Confederation, let's just take a very short break and we'll be right back.
Zambia, your time of spiritual revival and awakening is now. Once again, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua invites the nation of Zambia to a 2-day conference on the order of Melchizedek with Dr. Francis Miles. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Dates, 19th and 20th of March 2021. Saturday 14 hours to 18 hours. Sunday 09 hours to 12 hours. Make a date with us.
Welcome back. We just took a very short break, and before we went on a break, I had said we are going to look at the two games that were being played. That's the Nkana game versus Pyramids and RS Bekane versus NAPSA. And for all those who are unable to watch us, you can also watch us live. That's on Facebook, where you just follow our page, which is Camnet TV, like it, and you'll be able to watch us live from there, and you can give in your contribution. Because for the question that we have today is, who do you think will end up victorious in the ABSA Cup? That's the ABSA 2021. Augustine, let's hit the ball rolling. Let's look at the games that were being played. The group stages, NAPSA being beaten by Pyramids by 3-0. Is this the result that you expected?
Yeah, I think it was very, very difficult for Nkana to travel to Egypt to face Pyramids. This is a side which has been always on the rise in terms of African football and North African football. They have slowly becoming a powerhouse of African football, Pyramids. And the last time they played the Zambian side, they came here at the National Hero Stadium, beat Zanaco, and Zanaco went there and won. So Nkana Football Club would have drawn confidence in that, having seen Zanaco go out there and get a result. But if you look at the way these CAF competitions go, it's always the home teams that are always the favorites going into these encounters. And you had asked me a question just before the game was played, and I thought Nkana and NAPSA both had no chance to getting anything away in North Africa. Because I think we have to be realistic going into this group stage. We have to be very, very realistic. Anything away from home is a bonus. Basically, we have to try and go out there and play for a draw. If we can play for a draw, it's better enough for us, and we try and maximize home advantage, get all the 3 points when you play here in Zambia. But Nkana went poor defending, we must say, from Nkana. You always expect the North African teams to put a lot of balls into the box, a lot of crosses that you have to be very, very mentally strong and defensively solid to defend. You have to attack those crosses when they come into your box, but Nkana didn't do that. A very, very big mistake by Mapulanga, who then was probably Nkana's best player on the field. He made that one mistake, conceded from it, but he didn't drop his head. He kept making good saves to keep Nkana into the game. It would have been a cricket scoreline, if we must be honest. Mapulanga did very, very well to keep the scoreline a little bit decent. We must say Nkana Football Club, they never really offered a lot going forward, especially in the first half. But second half, when they made a little bit of tactical changes, we saw Nkana try and take the game to Pyramid, but it was too little, too late. You must think at that point. When you're Nkana Football Club, what do you do when you go away from home? You just try and keep it solid at the back, try and hit them on the counter. Nkana have got a lot of quick wingers in Akim Mumba. They have got Emamuno Mwindi, they've got Fred Shimenga. Those are quick players who can try and support the big striker in Simon Mulenga. Try and play long. He holds on to possession, then you support and start playing from there. But Ghana, I felt they did not defend very well, especially crosses. They didn't deal with them very, very well. Ghana played with a bit of a high line, which is always dangerous when you go to North Africa because they always like to play balls in behind. And the midfield, I think it was being bypassed so easily by Pyramids. Ghana could have done much, much better. They could have tried and closed the central areas so that Pyramids do not have a lot of joy in the final third, because I felt Pyramid had a lot of joy. It was just too easy for them to get into the final third. That's one thing that Ghana need to improve on. They are defending. Even coach Kelvin Kaindu talked about that after the game. He said we did not defend as well. So I think one thing I've realized, once you defend with aggression, it allows you to attack with a bit of aggression. But once you do not defend with aggression, you always lose the ball every time you have it in attack. That's what happens with Ghana. If they could have defended with a bit of aggression, it gives them confidence to attack with aggression in the opposition's half, but they did not do that. That game is lost. We need now to look to the next game, and Ghana would have to come back home and get all 3 points.
We saw Napsa, and recently we've seen the form of Emmanuel Mayuka, who has been scoring goals for fun. And a lot of people are expecting him to start this game, but unfortunately we saw him being benched and coming in. What's your take on it in terms of when we look at this is a continental tournament that we are looking at, and our thought was we are going to have players that have got the experience.
Yeah, that was one thing that I thought going into the Napsa Berkane game. We would have thought Emmanuel Mayuka, with all his vast experience playing in Europe, and Emmanuel Mayuka playing in North Africa, he could have had the experience to carry that Napsa Stars going into that game. But Mohamed Fati thought otherwise. I think I reason with Mohamed Fati's thinking because he thought of the counterattacks that Napsa Stars were trying to profit on, because they were surely not going to see a lot of possession in North Africa. FC Berkane are a very, very good side. They will deny you space. They won't give you enough space to play. So what Mohamed Fati thought was, we are going to hit these guys on a counter-attack. Let's have pacey players up front, because Emmanuel Mayuka's the only question is fitness at this point in time. How are his levels of fitness? I don't believe they are the same, that the levels that with Jimmy Mukea, the young lads, Daisy Soko, the levels of fitness with Emmanuel Mayuka are not at par. So that's why he went with those young lads up front to try and add a little bit of pace going forward. Austin Banda on one flank, I think that was the thinking behind the starting of Emmanuel Mayuka on the bench, because they wanted to hit them on the counter and play balls in behind, so that those players with lots of energy and speed can try and capitalize. But it backfired, because you would have seen the balance of play. Napsa Stars needed Emmanuel Mayuka's experience to try and hold on to the possession. Whenever they were in trouble in defense, he will always be the guy that you play the ball to, because every time you look at Berkane, they were not going to give Napsa a lot of time and space on the ball. So what do we do every time we're in possession? We would probably try and find an attacking outlet, which would have been Emmanuel Mayuka. Go on to Emmanuel Mayuka and then start playing from there. And one thing I've realized with this Pyramid team is that, this Berkane team is that they are always very, very good in the first half. They play very good football. They demolish teams in the first half, and they tend to slow down mostly in the second half. They do not score a lot of goals in the second half, and mostly I think that would have been the thinking of Mohamed Fati going into the game. Let's try and hold these guys for the first 45 minutes and let's take the game to them in the second half. But they did not do that. Napsa Stars, they allowed them to get into wide areas, which was one area of concern every time we go into North Africa. This is one thing we need to address. Let's not give them space in wide areas, because that's where they are strong. That's why the North African teams are very, very strong in wide areas, so that they put crosses into the box, and they always have willing runners to get into those boxes and attack the ball. Napsa Stars offered them a lot of space in wide areas. I felt that shouldn't happen, because Napsa Stars were playing with 3 central defenders in the back four: David Odiambo, Luka Banda, and Anos Tembo. These are centre backs. So you shouldn't allow such situations, because they know very, very well you need to defend your box very, very well, and they did not do that. Napsa Stars played a bit with the high line, just like Ghana. Balls in behind were always a danger, and you could see they benefited from a ball being played in behind. So we need to improve going into the coming games. 5 games we are remaining. There's still a long way to go. But having said that, Ghana and Napsa Stars, I feel personally they need to get their act right in the local league. They need to get their act right, because before they realize games would have started be running out and they would be in deep trouble in the relegation waters. They have always banked on their continental form, but if you have to be realistic, these are very, very tough groups to come out from. And we had Mohamed Fati targets with the first or the second position, but it's very, very difficult. Looking at how they played in Morocco, because they still have to go to Algeria, another North African opposition in the waiting. It will be very, very difficult for a side like Napsa, debutants in the competition, to try and go the distance. I think the best they can do is try and get advantage of the home situation and hope for the best away from home.
Anyway, we hope Ghana and Napsa picks up from the next game that they are going to host here in Zambia, which they'll play at their home stadiums. But anyway, as last week Augustine gave, I think, an insight on what's happening in terms of the APSA Cup, which is starting today, which has started today even. And we gave out the fixtures, but we never went into depth. So the fixtures are as follows. We've got the game which is being played right now, which is Forest Rangers versus Konkola Blades, which is at the Woodland Stadium. And the other fixtures, that's Lusaka Dynamos FC versus Prison Leopards, and Zanaco squared off against Kawe Warriors, Zesco United versus Kansenshi Dynamos. And maybe just a quick history, Augustine, in terms of the teams that are playing the APSA Cup. The APSA Cup 2021, the teams that are taking part. We've got Zesco United, won this tournament 6 times, and every time they played the final, they won it. Zesco United have never lost a final in this tournament, and they are one of the participants. Zanaco, we come to Zanaco, won it once, that was in 2017, beating Napsa Stars. They played the final 4 times and only managed to win it once. We've got Kawe Warriors, never won it, and they will be hoping they just don't participate but win it. We've got Prison Leopards, who've never participated in this tournament, so I would say they are debutants. We've got Konkola Blades, played it in 2011 and played the final, which they lost to Power Dynamos by 2-1. And then we've got Lusaka Dynamos, they've never played in the final. We've got Kansenshi Dynamos, never played in the final. We've got Forest Rangers, never played in the final. So in short, we are looking at teams and a dominant team, that's Zesco United, who've won it 6 times, Augustine.
Yeah, if you look at the 8 teams participating in the APSA Cup, only Zesco United and Zanaco have managed to be victorious come the end of the tournament. And experience always matters in these tournaments, because the confidence as the games get into the 70th minute, 80th minute, now you start seeing the experienced players now turning up, because cup competitions are always very, very cagey. Both teams would go for a win. And basically, if you look at Zesco United, they have been very, very successful, because most of their seasons, when they won the APSA Cup, they did very well in the league. They always backed it up. The APSA Cup and won the league. They won prestigious cup competition in the land, and it's very, very disappointing for teams like Forest Rangers playing continental football. They have never even reached the final. It's very, very disappointing. Forest Rangers, the last trophy they won was the Mosi Cup when they beat Red Arrows, Coca-Cola Cup when they beat Red Arrows at the Davis Stadium. Kawe Warriors haven't been anywhere close to a cup final in recent years. It's very, very poor for a team with such big history. Konkola Blades, that was probably their last final in 2011 when they lost to a very, very good Power Dynamo side. At that time, they were just from winning the league title. Power Dynamos faced Konkola Blades and smashed them. And Prison Leopards, I think it's up to play for them. Debut season, they have got nothing to lose going into this tournament compared to the other sides like Zesco United, like Zanaco. Lusaka Dynamos, they have invested heavily in their squad. Can they turn up? Can they turn up in this competition and try to do something to repay the sponsors, really? And Kansanshi Dynamos, probably the dark horses of the tournament, I must say, because Kansashi Dynamos last season when they win the Super League, they played some decent attacking football. They are a very good attacking side, but coming to this season, they are still chasing for that one of those 4 promotion positions, which I believe they will manage to get promoted come the end of the season, because they have got experience in their team. They have got Lloyd Alfonso back at Kansanshi, was probably their talisman when they came up into the Super League. And if you look at Zanaco are a very, very scoring side. They are very, very dangerous on the counter. Probably they will be one of the favorites going into this tournament, because cup competitions is all about goals. You need those goals to get you into the second round, and we always love a little bit of cup romance. We saw young green Buffaloes a couple of years ago reach the final and get beat by Ghana Football Club. They had a very, very good journey in that tournament. They played some good attacking football. They challenged teams. And I would like to see the same from Kansashi Dynamos and Konkola Blades. They are the ones from the lower league. So probably when going into this game, it's always dangerous playing a team from the lower league, because they are very, very confident. They feel like they are the underdogs. It gives them enough confidence. It motivates them to try and beat these Super League teams. And we all love the cup romance. And I would love to see one of these teams go the distance. Probably the best opportunity for them to get into the final, because as the technical bench, as they sit when these fixtures came out, Kansashi Dynamos, you are playing Zesco United, the record winners of the competition. Konkola Blades, you are playing Forest Rangers, who are just from playing continental football. Probably they are always the favorites. So you look at it and say, how do we get to the semi-finals? You need to draw your map very, very wisely. I think if you are one of these teams in the lower leagues, what do you need to do in this tournament? You just need to be solid. Be very, very solid. Do not give away chances, and try and take the game to penalties. I'm positive these two teams would have practiced a lot of penalties, because they have to just sustain the pressure for 90 minutes and then take the game to penalties and win it from there.
Anyway, the Zambia under-17 national team has just touched down. They've reached the touchdown at the KK International Airport. That was at 12:17, and we are 40 minutes into the first game that is being played at the Woodlands Stadium, and it's still 0-0. Augustine,
and I fancy this game. I'll go for Konkola Blades. I just want the romance of the cup to keep going.
Won't it be a tough one?
It will be tough, but looking at the balance of play, the two teams, the way they have been performing in the league, Konkola Blades are very, very solid at the back. They do not concede a lot of goals, and going forward, they are very decent side. They have scored more than 24 goals this season. That's very, very good return for a team who are chasing for promotion. Forest Rangers, they've always half-time path this season. You do not know which Forest Rangers team will turn up. They have blown away games when you thought Forest Rangers were the favorites in the games, because I think personally Forest Rangers, the loss of Adam Zikiru to Lusaka Dynamos has been a blow to the side. Quadracola is not part of the team which has travelled. So I tend to look at that Forest Rangers squad and say, where will the goals come from? That's the big question. John Mwangani is not the guy who would get you a lot of goals. He scores one and then disappears for 10 games.
Looking at their big names here, Augustine, when we look at big names, I say there's Zesco United, there's Zanaco, and then there's LD. When you look at LD, they're the big spenders. But for you, who is your favorite to win the ABSA Cup 2021?
In cup competitions, you may never know. There's always that unpredictability, because a lot of teams turn up for these occasions because they always know it's one-off. It's just one game. You can lose a league game but not a cup game, because the league game you can recover their points. You can recover the points, but when it comes to cup competition, you just lose this game and you're out. You do not have a second chance in this cup competition. So if you're Zesco United going into this encounter, you are probably the favorites in terms of looking at the league table. They are probably the form side in all the leagues, starting from the Super League and the National League. They're the form side. Zesco United, they have been scoring goals, and one thing I've realized about this Zesco United side now is they can manage to go behind in games and still come back and win them, because they have got youthful players who are playing very, very well and very energetic. You look at Zanaco, probably one of the favorites because they have got the goals in that team. Zanaco have always been the counter-attacking team. They do not dominate possession. They're a team who mix it up. They'll try and play beautiful football, passing football here and there. They'll play counter-attack. They'll play long balls. They always mix it up, Zanaco, and they always get that much-needed result. And I fancy ZESCO United to win the Absa Cup, but it's going to be very, very tricky.
What's your prediction final, Augustine?
Probably the final that I would love to see in this tournament is ZESCO United versus Forest Rangers. Ndola Derby in the final would be very, 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 very interesting, and I would love to see what both sides can offer. But these are cup competitions. You may never know. We may have Prison Leopards and Gongola Blades in the final.
So anyway, winners teams that will win will qualify to the semi-finals that will be played in the Copper Belt at the Arthur Davis Stadium, Augustine. And just like you've said, ZESCO is so dominant in these cup games, since winning it 6 times is not something which is very easy. But I'm sure even teams like Lusaka Dynamos will try to fight for it, looking at how their team is set up. They are not doing that fine in the league.
Yeah, the elite Lusaka Dynamos won their last trophy. I think was it 2008, 2007 when they won the Mosi Cup, beating ZESCO United at Janga Stadium by 1-0, goal scored by Josephat Nkoma. That was a very, very good Lusaka Dynamo side. They were really fearless, like the name they have at fearless. They elite, forever fearless, but I do not think this elite is fearless anymore. This current crop, where no, I think they do not have the consistency, they do not have the passion which that Lusaka Dynamo side had. The likes of Steny Nishimbi, the likes of William Unjovu, the likes of Ichani Himonde. Some players had just come from Chiparamba and straight into that Lusaka Dynamo's team, and the likes of Kesha's Kings, they had come from Chiparamba, and joined Lusaka Dynamos, and they had put up a very, very decent fight there. Cicinho, who was always played sometimes on the right back, sometimes at the centre forward. It was a very good Lusaka Dynamo side. One thing I liked about that Lusaka Dynamo is that they were hardworking. They worked as a team, and they respected each other. They could work for each other, and they knew what their roles were all about. If you are meant to defend, you defend for your life. If you have to score, you have to score for the team and carry the day. But you look at this current crop of Lusaka Dynamos, I do not think this is the right, they have made the right partnerships. Looking at the way the signings they have made, they do not understand each other. Basically, this Lusaka Dynamo side, you could see in games sometimes you see, wow, this is a title winning side, but in other games you look at Lusaka Dynamo and then you think, is this team fighting relegation or fighting to win the league title? Because you cannot know what Lusaka Dynamos want to achieve at the end of the day, because the combinations are not there. They are not finding the right partnerships in that starting 11. If it's something which Wadawada and Ian Bakala needs to work on very, very soon, because the season is slowly running out. Players at Lusaka Dynamos do not understand the philosophy of the football club. I've seen it because I was part of that football club some years back, and I know the philosophy of the football club, and I can, just by looking out at how things are happening from the outside, you can see that this is not the right way how Lusaka Dynamos do things. But with time, I hope Lusaka Dynamos would get it right, because these are very, very huge investments. Emmanuel Chapula, very, very huge investment from Nkwazi to Lusaka Dynamos, 2 goals. That's very, very disappointing. Adam Zikiru is coming, he has played less than 5 games, still hasn't found the back of the net. Mini Cooper, you can see he's slowly adapting to the game. He's a very, very intelligent player, Mini Cooper. If they can get it right between him and Colin Sikombe, Lusaka Dynamos will be a force.
Anyway, Augustine has predicted. Augustine wants a final between ZESCO United and Forest Rangers, but for me, I would fancy to have a final that's ZESCO United versus LD, but I know Zanaco will come in as a shocker. They will shock a lot of people. And before we continue, let's just take a very, very short break as we get back and look at the youthful players that are making an impact in terms of our Zambian National League and the Zambian national team. We'll take a very short break and we'll be right back.
This is Camnet TV World News. For a prompt response, call +2609 53 995 099 or +2609 62 444 726 or +2609 711 77467. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Zambia, your time of spiritual revival and awakening is now. Once again, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua invites the nation of Zambia to a 2-day conference on the order of Melchizedek with Dr. Francis Miles. Venue, the Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill. Dates, 19th and 20th of March 2021. Saturday 14 hours to 18 hours. Sunday 09 hours to 12 hours. Make a date with us.
I can confirm that the first game that is being played at the Woodland Stadium, it's now on halftime and it's still 0-0. Kongola Blades giving Forest Rangers a very, very hard time. And when we were on the break, Augustine, you said it like these teams that are playing in the lower league, they just want to hold you, not until the game reaches the penalty shootout.
Yeah, because basically this tournament, if you look at it, Super League teams come in with a lot of pressure because they're the favorites and they would like to win the game just in the 90 minutes, because most of the times when the game goes into penalties, confidence shifts. The underdogs now become more confident in winning the game. So as we see these games progressing into the 75th minute, now we're seeing a lot of frustration from Super League teams, and then they'll start panicking. Probably that's when the likes of Kongola Blades will try and attack Forest, because that's when they can get a chance and score. If they cannot do that, they'll be very, very comfortable to seeing this game end in 90 minutes and take it to penalties.
Hey, Augustine, all the best to the two teams. That's Kongola and Forest Rangers, and not forgetting the other game, which will kick off at 15. That's Zesco United versus Kansenshi Dynamos, if I'm not mistaken. Augustine, let's look at it being a youthful month. For me, I would say it's a youthful month because we celebrated our day. That was yesterday. And let's first look at the triumph that we had. You just said it earlier to say we won the
under 20.
Under 20. That was on the 12th, right?
On Youth Day.
On the Youth Day. How has that been an impact in terms of youthful football in Zambia?
I think every time if you went in the streets during that period when that tournament was being played, there were those players, the under 12 team, the under 20 team which won the tournament, they were being regarded as heroes in these compounds. Young players were looking up to them because everyone wanted to be the next Patson Daka, everyone wanted to be the next Fashion Sakala. There was a lot of inspiration coming from that team because what that team had done, it was never done in Zambian football. We had gone to the under 20 a couple of times and we fell off from the semi-finals. We reached the semi-finals, which is the golden generation. At that point in 2007, then we had this, which was then the next golden generation, the likes of Mangani Banda, Solomon Sakala, Shemi Maembe. I can go through the names, Patson Daka, Enoch Mwepu. And it was now time for those young players to shine and try and inspire the next generation. And you would have seen a lot of players now have been inspired by Enoch Mwepu. They have been inspired by Patson Daka. They have been inspired by Emmanuel Banda. If someone who's from these far-flanked areas in, maybe let's say Mongu, Livingstone, Itezi, a lot of people believe it's hard for you to break into the national team because you are from these far-flanked areas. Everyone has always believed the national team selection has been based between Lusaka and Copperbelt, but we remember in that team there was Edward Chilufya from, was it Kasama? Yeah. He came in and broke into that team. No one knew about Edward Chilufya. We just saw him at the tournament and he brightened up that tournament, played some good football, helped Zambia win the tournament. That team was very, very inspiring to the young teams that were coming up. If you talk to the young players now, they will tell you that was a very, very important tournament to them, and it made them realize that they can, if those guys can do it, they can also do it as well and be top class. players in Zambian football.
And I think we've seen, Augustine, from the time we won that under 20 AFCON, we've seen a lot of teams trying to invest in younger players. But for you so far, when we look at our Zambian national team, or maybe let me start with the league, we've seen people making a lot of names. We've seen the likes of Akim. We've seen the other likes of what's the name? You know, when I remember the name, I'll tell you. But mostly, who is dominant? Who is dominating as it stands right now? Who do you feel like is pushing further and further in terms of them being a youth and challenging in terms of position with these people who've been in the game for years?
Yeah, if you look at the Zambian Super League setup, we had a lot of cries coming out from the corporate world, the fans, and every person who's involved in Zambian football. A lot of people started saying that these foreign players who are coming into our league, they're not giving chance to our young players. And it was a topic which even the President Andrew Kamanga came out to say they would reduce the number of foreign players in our Super League, because they had a lot of foreign players, not just in the Super League and in the lower leagues, be it National League, Division 1, and these other lower divisions. We've seen now players from other countries have seen that there's something nice happening in Zambian football, and they have been attracted to Zambian football. There's no problem with having foreign players here with Zambian football, but what matters is we also give chance to these young lads. Mm-hmm. One thing I've realized why these coaches do not give a lot of young lads chance is because of the results, the demand of results in this Super League time. When I was at Lusaka Dynamos, what was the main aim for the club is to try and develop young players and sell them on. Mm-hmm. And that was very, very successful. The club was running successfully. The team was always in the Super League. Lusaka Dynamos would give chance from players from EduSport, Chiparamba. They would go into these compounds and pick young players and bring them to the Super League, introduce them to the Super League, and become future stars in years. And it went very well for Lusaka Dynamos. But as time went by, the sponsorships started coming into the league. Mm-hmm. Then there was competition for these continental places. You would see now teams have sort of abandoned that trend and started investing more in foreign players. Some of them who are not even good enough, if I must be honest. But we've seen this season, I think credit must go to the clubs, the youth structures who start from Abraham Siankombo, one of the most prolific youngsters in the league. If you watch Abraham Siankombo, you think he has been playing this league for very, very long time. His technical ability is fearless. He's willing to take on people. He's very, very attack-minded, and he's a very, very intelligent young boy. He's come through the Zanaco system. He's come through young Zanaco. He was promoted to the senior team, and it's paying for Chris Kaunda, who had faith in the young lad. He made his debut against Indenia Sunset Stadium. Zanaco were leading by 1-0, but they were under pressure. When the boy came in, you could see how the game had transformed from Zanaco being under pressure, and they started applying pressure going forward, and he's done very well. His numbers can talk for him. He's got 9 goals in the Super League so far. He's knocking on those top scorers charts.
Then he's giving pressure now to the national team.
And that's when Michu has noticed that there's a boy who can play very good football, and he has called him into the national team. Not that Abraham Siankombo will go and play the Algerian game, but he just wants this boy to believe in his talent and try and familiarize himself with this national team surrounding, because it will be beneficial for the Zambian Super League going forward. We've seen Abraham Siankombo at Zanaco. He's done very well. Zesco United have done tremendous in terms of bringing up these young players. There's John Chishimba, the left back. He's seeing game time now under Numbamamba. And Numbamamba, credit goes to him. He went into a team there was a lot of pressure. There was a big coach in George Rwandamina there. They were tired legs at Zesco United. Probably he would have panicked and said, let me go outside Zambia, and pick every talent that I can find. But he had faith in these young lads, and you can see it's paying off for him. He got young Chandamukuka from Gomes, a very, very good midfielder, technically gifted. He's playing very well for Zesco United. He brought him to the football club. he promoted, they promoted Luawa and Enoch Sakala, and they're seeing a lot of game time now, and they have both started in the game which they will be playing this afternoon in the Absa Cup. Enoch Sakala is basically carrying Zesco United on his shoulders at a very young age. He's the one who is scoring the goals for Zesco United. It's very, very motivating for the young players who are in the Zesco United system to say if Enoch Sakala can be selected for the Super League and the Absa Cup, Zesco United will have confidence to play him. Why not me? It gives confidence to these young players. If you look at Power Dynamos, they have always been the team which has always produced at least 2 or 3 players from their youth system. Kondwani Chiwoni is one of the players that have come through the ranks, but this season we've seen the introduction of Joshua Mutale to the big stage, a very, very good midfielder. They call him Perry Mutapa, Bebeto, the young Bebeto, his coach Perry Mutapa, very talented midfielder, very good on the ball, always has got an eye for a pass, and he's come into this Power Dynamo side and he's produced the goods. You can see he's a boy who's promising. In the next 2-3 years he would be one for the national team. And we've seen the likes of Lusaka Dynamos. They have brought in Derek Mwansabulaya, who was from Shameo, a very young lad. Not every player, not every coach would have had confidence in and giving this young player a platform to play at this high level, but they have given him that. They have got Shonge. He has playing very, very good for the under-17, and now he's part of this Lusaka Dynamo setup. Is a very, very bright young talent. They got Magenge, the centre back from the compounds. I don't know if it's Mrs. Ochawama, but they got him from the compound, brought into the Super League, and Magenge has been one of their best centre backs this season, if we must be honest. Beautycon, we've looked at Beautycon. They went and got a young centre back in Timothy Banda, who was also picked from the lower leagues. Now you can see these clubs have got faith in these young talents to try and give them chance and try and develop them. You look at Napsa Stars, we talked about Desi Soko, he's very, very young. Jimmy Mukea, he came through their ranks. He has been at Napsa maybe for 5 to 8 years, I don't know. He's been developing through the ranks steadily, and they have been monitoring him. And credit to Muhammad Fati and his technical team for having confidence in this young lad. And you can see what he produces even on the continental stage. He was very, very decent in the 2-0 defeat in Morocco. Very, very positive. He's always looking to run at defenders. Probably is the reason why Napsa are in the group stages, because he's the one who won the penalty against Koma here. So you can see now teams are having faith in their program, to say, let's have this project of a youth team which would be supplying players to the senior team, and Napsa Stars have been doing that. Jimmy Mukea is one of the products who have come through the team. I just want to see this happen to all the clubs in the Super League. All the clubs should have a very good and strong youth team, so that we may have a very, very stable youth league that will have. In terms of the under-17s, is where the coaches should be going to look for players. In the under-17, in the under-20, they should be going to these youth teams, for example, Zanaco, Zesco United, Red Arrows, Cow Warriors. They should have strong youth teams so that the Football Association of Zambia as well can have a very strong youth league, so that it will be a stepping stone for these young lads to try and play for their dreams to play in the Super League. If you are attached to these football clubs, you have got the right people who are going to train you and help you develop in your career and go forward. Youth players have done very, very well in the Super League. You can go the entire show picking up players who are doing very, very well in these teams. But these that I've picked, I think, are probably the most impressive, because most of them is their debut season.
When you look at, would you say clubs are investing much in terms of their, I would say, reserved squads? Because when we look at teams that have got reserve squads or reserve teams, I would just give an example maybe of 2 teams that mostly would say, okay, they have. That's Red Arrows and Zanaco. I feel these 2 teams have been paying full much attention. But what would be your suggestion in going forward? Do you think a mandate should be there to say Zesco or Zanaco or maybe Red Arrows is hosting Zanaco? Let maybe their reserve team or team B warm up the game, they play, first game.
Yeah, that would be a very, very good idea. I think we had it in the years gone by. The reserve will always play the curtain raiser to the main game, and it was always interesting. People would always go to the stadium a little bit earlier so that they can have a look at the reserve teams and see who is promising, who is coming up. I think what I've realized in Zambian football is a lot of teams started these youth teams because of pressure of club licensing. They just wanted it to be there just for the sake of them passing the club licensing. But what's your long-term view of those academies? That's one point that we need to address. This has to be a full-time thing that you put a lot of investment in, because if you see players like Jimmy Mukea, if they can come through the ranks and help you reach the group stages of continental football, what if you invest heavily and focus fully on these developmental teams? I think Zambian football would even take a gigantic step forward. If you look at South Africa, for example, they have got the Super Disc. That is the league for these upcoming youngsters who they have got given all the right equipment, all the right facilities and the right coaching at that age group. And whenever they step into the PSL, you would see that these players have been in this environment for a while. They have been playing under pressure. They have been developing at these youth teams, and probably they would come and offer something to the senior team, because most of the time you see these young players going into the Super League, being promoted from the youth team. Probably they'll just go and make numbers, no challenge for positions. But we've seen now the trend is changing. Players are going in there and challenging for these positions. You can look at Abraham Siankombo at Zanaco. How many foreign players is he keeping on the bench? A lot. So it's something which we need to just invest heavily in youth football. And if you have got the right foundation, probably your structure would be very, very strong. Let's have the right people in right positions to try and see that these players are developing, and they should be in these clubs. They should have a report of what's happening. Because, for example, I'll give you an example of maybe Pep Guardiola at Man City or Jurgen Klopp. They know who is their best player in the under 17, who is their best player in the under 14. They have got all the information. But if you come to a Zambian setup, probably you find the coach of Team A, I won't mention names, doesn't even know any of the players in the youth team, which is very, very sad. They do not find time to go and see what's happening at these youth teams. They're just there to just make them pass the club licensing, but it needs to change. This is a business. Football is a full-time job. If our coaches can look at it that way, if the club people running these clubs can look at that way, invest heavily in this youth football. And it's the reason why Zambian football has backslidden, because we did not invest heavily in youth football. But look at South Africa, for instance. Look at the likes of Guinea. They are progressing every year because they have been paying much attention into grassroots football, and you can see the results now.
Would you give credit to Green Eagles, looking at what they are doing for both teams? Because when we look at young Green Eagles, that's a setup for the youth.
Yes.
For me, I would say big ups to them. Yeah,
it's credit to them, but we need to see them have a lot of young players in that young Green Eagles side, because there are players who are aging at young Green Eagles, players that have played the Super League for a very, very long time. They would have given that platform for players from the main Green Eagles who are not seeing a lot of game time, loan them to young Green Eagles so that they can see a lot of game time and become a force to reckon with. You can see teams like our youth, they're always having a youthful side. Maybe it's the reason why they always go down. If you can have a setup where these young players are given a chance to express themselves, it will be very, very good for these clubs.
Anyway, we've had a look on that, and hopefully we'll see a difference and the setup maybe will change. But anyway, let's look at European games, Augustine. We saw Juventus bowing out. We saw Cristiano Ronaldo bowing out for I don't know since how many years, bowing out before reaching the quarterfinals. We've seen Messi bowing out. Did you expect something like this? Is it the end of the era for Ronaldo and Messi?
I think it's not the end, but it's just that time has just caught up with these guys. They're legends of world football. We cannot take that away from them. Even these young players who look like they are going to take over from them, they have got a very huge task ahead of them, because these guys have been sharing the big stage for the last 15 years. They have been on top form, and you can see it's just a matter of age. They're aging. Time is catching up with them. And it was very, very disappointing to see them both bow out at the groups at the round of 16 stage. We've not seen this for a while. We always have Messi or Ronaldo in the quarterfinals, but unfortunately this year we won't have any of them. I think, if I must be honest, the most painful exit would be that of Ronaldo, because Juventus had a chance in the second leg. They just had to win by 2 goals. Clear 2 goals, and they would have been through to the next round. And playing against a Porto side who are reduced to 10 men, it's very, very disappointing to see Juventus bow out in such a way, because and you can see Andrea Pirlo is struggling with this Juventus side. He may say these are not my players, because he inherited that squad from Maurizio Sarri, and Maurizio Sarri inherited it from Massimiliano Allegri. Maybe let's give Andrea Pirlo time for him to build his own team, because you can see the only live player, I must say, on the day was Federico Chiesa. He looked like he was the guy who would take Juventus to the quarterfinals. But Porto had a very, very good game plan. They have always frustrated teams in Europe, Porto. We saw the likes of Jose Mourinho when he was at Porto. He went all the way and won the Champions League. And this time around, you can see the way they play Porto. They are a very good passing team. They can attack and they can defend very, very solid. They can leave you have the ball and just close the spaces and do not allow you to get in behind and attack them in their final third. And credit must go to them for beating Juventus. They are very, very solid on the night. They had to play with 10 men for a lot of minutes. Even in 2 extra time, they were playing with 10 men, but credit, they worked very hard to get the result. Barcelona, on the other hand, I think the job was probably done at the Camp Nou. Kylian Mbappe destroyed Barcelona at the Camp Nou. Barcelona went to Parc des Princes hoping for a miracle, but it wasn't to be. But you would have thought since they come back when Messi was awarded the penalty, if that would have gone in, it would have been interesting to see how PSG would have hung on to
Let's look at the competition that's being there. People are saying the next Ronaldo and Messi, that's Mbappe and is it Haaland? We've seen the young lads scoring goals for fun now, and his breakthrough was something that we say, no, maybe his form will go down, but his form is going up. Almost each game that he plays, he has to score the game. Do you see the 2 young lads leading their teams to the finals?
Yeah, Erling Brand Haaland has got ridiculous numbers at his very young age, you must say. I remember watching him at the under-20. He was top scorer, scored, 8 goals in one game. Very, very prolific. You can see he's meant to score goals. That's what he's born to do. He's different from Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe will run the channels, will work the defenders very, very hard. He's very, very skillful. He will pick the ball from the deep and make things happen on his own. But Erling Brand Haaland is the guy who you need to supply balls to. He's not the guy who would score when he will not score a lot of goals when you're not creating for him. He's very, very intelligent. He makes very, very intelligent runs. He's the fox in the box. He's big, he's strong, he's a little bit quicker, and he has got a very good eye for goal. But if you are going to talk about numbers in terms of just scoring, I think Erling Brand Haaland shades it, because he will score a lot of goals than Kylian Mbappe. But if we talk about all-round play, assists and scoring, Kylian Mbappe is always the better player than Erling Brand Haaland. It's going to be interesting to see how these boys will push each other, because they always appreciate each other and they respect each other. You can see that, and we just hope these guys will take on from Ronaldo and Messi and be the stars they are meant to be, not be like Pogba and Neymar, who are tipped to win the Ballon d'Or, but they are faded out.
And away from that, let's look at the games that are being played. That's in the EPL, the English Premier League. We've got the first game that's at 14:30. That's Leeds hosting Chelsea, a Chelsea squad that has been reformed. Augustine.
Interesting encounter, Leeds versus Chelsea, Marcelo Bielsa versus Thomas Tuchel. Both teams like to keep the ball, they like to pass it. But Marcelo Bielsa's side, they also like to do the same. They like to keep the ball and pass it, but it hasn't been going well for them in the previous fixtures. They have dropped a lot of points. Sometimes they have just been unfortunate not to pick all three. Chelsea have been unstoppable under Thomas Tuchel. And this is a very, very big test for Chelsea, I must say, because they are playing against their former player in Jimmy Buckford. They thought he wasn't good enough for Chelsea Football Club. He was gone at Leeds United, revived his career. Now he would be facing his former team, and he would like to get one squad list 1 or 2 against his former team. They've got Rafinha in their ranks. Leeds United is very, very good going forward, and they've got Phillips, very, very solid in central midfield. It's going to be about who grabs the initiative early on between Chelsea and Leeds United. This game, one thing we are assured of is goals. Leeds United are very, very attack-minded. They score a lot of goals against the Chelsea side, who does not score a lot of goals but are very, very good defensively, because they deny teams possession. So it's the only way they have realized they can defend better. Chelsea, they have kept a lot of clean sheets ever since Thomas Tuchel took over, because they're denying teams possession. And once the opposition do not have possession, they cannot hurt you. And it's something which Chelsea have done very, very well. We've seen a different Rudiger now. We have seen a different Jorginho. N'Golo Kante now is seeing game time and is doing a lot of work in that central midfield. But Chelsea is doing parties at the front three. They cannot score. That's the only problem that Thomas Tuchel needs to work on as soon as possible. It's an interesting encounter between Leeds and Chelsea in that it can go either way.
Anyway, due to time, a quick one. We've got Crystal Palace hosting West Brom, that's at 17. We've got Everton hosting Burnley, that's at 19:30. And we've got Fulham, who is hosting the unstoppable Man City. A quick one, Augustine, on this one. Do you think Fulham will manage to hold Man City?
It's going to be tricky. Fulham, having went to Anfield and picked a very positive result. Manchester City, they lost to United on that same weekend and bounced back in midweek against Southampton, scoring 5. This game will be a game of two teams who like to attack. Scott Parker and Pep Guardiola all like to play good passing, attacking football. But I think City will just be too strong for Fulham.
Tomorrow we've got the first game, that's at 14. That's Southampton versus Brighton. Leicester hosting Sheffield United. And then we've got the big game, that's Arsenal versus Spurs. And lastly, Man United hosting West Ham. I saw your post, Augustine, on social media where you say, well played, lads, but you gave the league already to Man City.
Yeah, I think the league is already gone. City will definitely be crowned champions come the week 13-38. United would, I think the best United can do is just stay close to Manchester City and let City win the league, and you'll be the best of the rest. And that's the only consolation for the Ghana Socialist team, because City look unstoppable. They look like they win this league title. United are always inconsistent. That has been the biggest problem. They cannot put results together. They cannot back up good performances. Like in midweek, they blew a chance to beat AC Milan in the additional time. Spurs, Arsenal, very, very tricky London derby. But I think Spurs will be favorites. Looking at the form Harry Kane and Gareth Bale are in, it will be too much for Arsenal.
Your final remarks, Augustine, before we...
It's been an interesting show. A big thanks to everyone out there who tuned in to watch us, and we just hope everyone has a lovely weekend, and see you next week, same time, same place.
Anyway, we've come to the end of the show due to time, and would like to thank everyone who tuned in and glued in to get the highlights in terms of the sports and what has been happening in the sports world. We apologize for Uncle Rapson, who has been on duty of late, but hopefully he will join us this coming Saturday and give us some more exciting news in terms of football. Big ups to the production team for making everything possible, and not forgetting our Madam Director, who is on leave, and Isaac upstairs there. Thanks, lad, and wish you all the best as you host Leeds United. For me, Amos, it's bye. See you next week.